Hey, welcome to this demonstration of Fusion 360. Today I'm going to be reproducing this pivot bearing activity that we did in class last week, just to show you how quickly and how effectively we can use Fusion 360 to model shapes and objects. So this is the drawing that you were given last week and we modeled it in class together. I'm just going to use it again for this activity. So first thing I want to know is how I'm going to produce this particular shape here. So I can see that it's got this basic plate that is the center for the rest of the drawing, and then really all I want to do is add this U shape to the end of it, and this cylinder shape as well. So it's really a three-step process. So we're going to start by trying to draw, or by drawing, this basic shape here, and to do that we need to have a basic plate that we can work from, which is the maximum width, which is 134, by the maximum height, which is 100, plus 12, 112, plus 64 divided by 2, which is 32. So 112, 152, 154. So we're going to draw a basic plate that is 154 by 134. So to that, starting a new sketch on Fusion 360, working from the front plane, using a rectangle tool to produce that shape. So we're going to do 154 high by 134 wide. So that's the basic shape that we want to work within. Once we've done that, we want to look at our drawing again and start thinking about the features that we can add to it straight away. So the things that we probably want to do straight away are add these two circles to the outside. They are 194 millimeters apart with the whole length of 134. 134 minus 94 gives me 40. Divide that by 2, which means that both of these circles are 20 millimeters in from the ends and 12 from the top. So I'm going to start by doing that drawing there. If I come down 12, go all the way across, so I've got that drawing. What I'm going to do is turn that into a construction line. I can then use that, come in 20 millimeters, on the other side again, come in 20 millimeters to get that point that I require. So 20 mil with a 10 mil hole over here, 20 mil with a 10 mil hole. That was fairly easy to do, as you can see there. Once we've done that, we'll look at our pivot bearing again. We want to turn or add this U shape to our drawing here. So what we can see with our U shape, we've got a radius of 120 going across that U shape, and actually all it is a small circle, and they've straightened the edges on the ends of it. So this is actually going to be quite easy to produce. So the first thing I need to do is find the midpoint, which is here. I'm going to draw a line 12 millimeters down, because that will give me a radius. And then from that point, I'm going to draw my circle, because what I get now is 24 millimeters across, which I can then use when I zoom in. What I should actually do is just draw the line across it, because that gives me a much straighter point to work from. I'll delete this dimension here, and what you can see is I've got this shape here that I can now use for my drawing. So that is the very basic plane that we're going to work from. What I'm actually going to do as well is make this basic shape over here. So I'm going to begin with this large cylinder section, all I want to do is add the circular part for that. So I know that it's got a radius of, a diameter of 64 millimeters. So to produce that circle, all I'm going to do is find the midpoint again. You find the midpoint where you get that triangle. Come up 32 millimeters to find the midpoint for my circle and produce a circle, which will then give me the radius of 64 that I need. And the last thing that I need to do for this basic plate is actually produce this wavy shape over here. So the easiest thing for me to do to begin with is to actually draw a line from the top of this circle all the way across my plate so that I know where my first small radius of 8 millimeters is going to begin. So what does that look like in the drawing? I'm going to draw a line straight up, then straight across. Same here, straight across. And then from my circle, the midpoint of my circle, I'm going to draw a line straight across to the outside because it gives me an accurate point to then build up my circle. It's freezing a little bit, sorry about that. I think that's just because it's also the computer's also recording. So yeah, we've done those basic functions there. Alright, here we go. Now that I've got that, what I want to do now is actually round here off. So I want to put a small circle that has a radius of 8 just around here. So what I'm going to do is put a line across of 4 millimeters and a line down of 4 millimeters to give me a central point. Then I can use that to produce the radius that I need over there, which gives me that radius of 8. So I'll just wait for that to load up again. Seems like the program keeps crashing slightly as I do this with the recording on. So I'm going to draw another line here, 4 millimeters across, 4 millimeters down to find the center point for my circle, and I'm going to use that again to produce that small circle there. So we've got those two small circles now on either side. Now what I want to do is actually produce this larger radius of 25 millimeters from my drawing. So what I need to do is connect that somehow to here. Now if I draw a line across from here, press escape, I don't want that. So just have a look at that again. We've got our circle here. Then we want to add this radius of 25 to it. So what I'm going to do is draw a line across that's 25. Enter. Draw a line up that is 25. Press enter. And this will become the center point for my circle, like that. Again, I'm sorry that it keeps freezing, but we just have to work with that. What I'm going to do on this side now, same thing. Draw a line across, goes 25. Draw a line up, that goes 25. And then use that to draw the circle. Just waiting for that to load up again. So we've pretty much got this basic shape produced now. So the last thing I'll need to do now is just look at this particular drawing here. Everything adds up with the line, so that shouldn't be a problem. So now I can actually use this drawing here to extrude the shape that I require. So what I'm going to start by doing is highlighting all the sections that I want. So I've highlighted all the sections that I want that are replicated in this particular drawing here. And all I want to do is just extrude to this first level. So I just want to do a 12mm extrusion. So I come up here to where it says solid, click on that, click on extrude, press 12, and we've got that basic shape to work with. I now want to use this face here to create a secondary sketch. So I'm going to click on that, click on new sketch, and it brings it to me in 2D again. What I actually want to do now is produce this small U shape over here. So the easiest way to start that is to look at how much bigger the radius is for this secondary U. So it goes from being a 12mm radius to a 20mm radius. So what I need to do initially, use the circle tool, find the midpoint there, type in 20. Sorry, if it's 20, it's a 40, not 20, because it's a 20mm radius. Press on that so I get my circle. I'll then use that in the same way that I've done before. Using the outside of the circles to actually help in our drawing. And then the last thing I want to do is draw the line straight across. Now I've actually produced the outside part of this shape here. What I need to do now is replicate again this smaller part. So I'll make a radius of 24, and then I'll draw these lines there. So what I can actually do now when I look at it is I can select these parts that I want to extrude again. And that's what I'm doing right now. So what I've done is I've just selected those U parts, and I'm going to extrude them again. And this secondary extrusion is going to be 27 minus 12, which gives me 15. So back to solid, extrude 15. And we've got that U shape there now as well, which is great. Coming back to this surface here, I now want to create a new sketch for this bottom part here. So if I look at the whole length of this cylinder here, it's 87. We've got 12 that we've already taken out, and we've got 22 at the front, so we're going to draw that first. So Fusion 360 again, come here. I've got the midpoint of my circle there. I'm just going to produce that 64mm circle again, and I'm just going to extrude it straight away 22mm. Once it loads, so click on that. Surface, sorry, solid. Oh, I don't want to do a new sketch, I want to do an extrusion 22. I've got that basic shape there now. Then I'm going to flip this around to the back, create a new sketch here. In the same way that we've done before, we just want to use, actually because it's a new sketch, we need to draw another line straight up. .32 again. Use that to replicate the circle, 64. And then if we look at it from this angle here, what we want to do, select that, another extrusion going the opposite direction. So it's going to be 87 minus 22, which gives us 65. 65 minus 12, which gives us 53. So we want to do an extrusion of 53 on this side here. Which looks like that. Then when we zoom out, this shape that we're producing is starting to look a little bit more realistic. Now, what we need to do next is produce this little divot on the inside of both our, as you can see, it says we've got a diameter of 44 millimeters coming to a depth of 5 millimeters. So all we want to do, select this face, create a new sketch, get the circle tool, find the midpoint, 44, highlight it, extrude it, and rather than doing a positive extrusion, we're now going to do a negative extrusion. So -5, and it gives us that little shape over there. And the same size here, click on that, create a new sketch, circle, midpoint, 44, select, solid, extrude, -5, and we've produced those two bores on either side now. The last thing we need to do now is the hole that goes all the way through. So I'm going to click on that face, create a new sketch again. And if I look at this drawing here, I've got this smaller hole here that is 26 millimeters in diameter. So we're going to produce that, 26. Now, this particular hole is going to go all the way through, so I'm going to highlight that, solid, extrude, and we're going to do a negative extrusion all the way through this shape. Now if I was to zoom out and have a look at this now, it has that hole through the middle of it as well. So what we've been able to produce fairly quickly is this pivot bearing from this isometric drawing. So what I would like you to do now, either with the tutorial to help you or in your own time trying to do it by yourself, is to reproduce this shape here using Fusion 360, because what it actually teaches you is a number of different things about reading isometric drawings, about reproducing drawings in 3D, and really just learning the basic features of CAD. So hopefully this has been useful. Have a great day.